buying process, the cash buying appointment, what I would call the cash buying or the listing. Um, so it came up with 12 steps. What I did is Gino and I and Missy, we all came up with executions on what would make a successful cash buying / listing appointment and how we should get ready for it, what to look for, and to make basically it a very easy process as much as we can. As you know, is that you guys are going to be allowed to make cash offers. Obviously, it's not going to be the first appointment. The first appointment's going to be, basically doing research about the property, looking around, doing a field inspection. We'll go over that a little bit, but basically, it's to give you guys the authority to be the figure of Homewire and Cell 911 to actually execute cash offers. So you guys will be the ones that are actually giving the solution to the end user, where normally it was always me or Missy giving that, or Gino at times. So this will allow you guys to execute cash offers or a listing appointment when you guys go out there. It'll make you guys the authority. So basically, it's as if you guys have your own checkbook, basically. So the level of research that we have to do to get you guys ready is huge, and it's something that we're going to try to crash course us in like 3 to 4 hours. But it is a huge learning experience. In fact, I'm still learning it to this day. We just had 2 properties blow up on Lake Drive on us. We have one that we sold. We just broke even, and now we got a beautiful text this morning that we have water coming in the basement on the side that we decided not to put the drain tiles on. So it was one of those things that would have saved, at the time was about $2,000 to run that other, or maybe when they're out there, maybe only $1,500 to $2,000. But we decided we didn't have that kind of budget. We weren't getting any water in the basement at that time, so we thought everything was fine. Well, this morning about 9:30, we find out that it wasn't fine. So what I'm getting at is there's really there's a lot of risk out there for us to take, and that risk is we're exposing ourselves. These are risks that we take as investors. We win some, we lose some. That's just what it is we can't allow people to piss in our Wheaties all the time, So what we're doing is we're trying to give you guys the 12-step buying process or listing. I'm guessing statistically, out of the cash buying business, probably 1 in 20 actually become actual purchase. So the other 19, we're all going to be offering them solutions. Out of those 19, our products, we should be probably a 1 in 2. So between us buying or listing, one of those should happen. The closing ratio should be 1 in 2 in my philosophy. And so far, as we're dealing with them, if we make that face-to-face appointment, we're going to get something. We're going to either get them on our Buy 911 platform, we're going to buy it outright, or we're going to make it a traditional listing. One of those 3 are going to happen, and it's a very good stat. And the industry standard right now is 1 in 20. That's basically face-to-face, 1 in 20 purchases. So we're somewhat different. Even another brokership, in Boston, I think their numbers are 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 between a listing or a purchase. So they get 1 in 6 people get a signature, but they also don't have a product that we have, which is our Buy 911 platform. So you guys are basically armed and dangerous when you guys are going into a situation to be able to offer all the benefits. We also do creative financing with our sellers. That also increases our chances of potentially purchase it, where somebody wants more money for it, for a property, and it may not be worth us buying it, but they want a certain price. Like, let's just say a duplex. Here's a situation. A duplex. Missy got the client. This was about 3 years ago. It was 9th and Keefe. She wanted $40,000. ARV was like $45,000, and it was about $5,000 worth of work. So I was like saying, well, we really can't make that work. It doesn't make sense to buy it from a profit standpoint, but the cash flow was darn near like $1,700 a month. So I'm like, we can make this work with the cash flow. You're buying something for 40,000. We're going to buy it for 17, you know, cash flow is 1,700 a month, buying it for 40,000. You can make those numbers work really fast. So what we did is we were able to find out what the seller wanted was just basically $3,000 into skip town, and we were able to take over payments. And we worked out a relationship with her so that we paid basically $35,000, and we're gonna have that paid off in about 5 years at a very small interest rate at like 4%. And it was a good relationship because she got her $3,500 that they had no closing costs. We did the prorations of taxes. It was already escrowed. So it turned out to be a real good solution where the average investor would have came in and said, the most I could give you for this is $15,000 to $20,000, you know? So we're already on our, I think, what, 2.5 years on that payment already. So we're already half owned on this, you know, and the tenants are paying for that. So these are all creative options that you guys are going to start learning step by step, because one, you'll be in the thickets with us. So it's all about us offering solutions. So, and we're going to present that, and we're going to work with you guys one-on-one when we have these opportunities. It's a good chance for you guys to work, you know, one-on-one with, you know, with Gino or myself or Missy. So we'll go over the 12 steps very briefly today. We're not going to go into details, okay? But we're going to go into details over the next 4 to 5 weeks of each and every step. The number one that you guys see is prospecting. Well, we're learning that throughout every Wednesday's classes. That's more of the prospecting. Where do these sellers come from? Is it probate? Is it, you know, non-owner occupied? You know, is it tax foreclosure? Is it a regular bank foreclosure, pre-foreclosure, divorce, you know, FSBO? We're, you know, so prospecting is a whole nother level, but that is part of the step one for you guys and for us. So right now, when you get a lead, we've already handled the prospecting part. So we're like, we handled that as far as the company-wide. The initial contact and qualifying, that's going to be you guys talking, greeting you guys self, as far as we're going to come up with some script on what that should look like. And when I say script, I'm not talking about that we're going to read from it. We're going to have a casual conversation. It's pretty easy. A lot of times these sellers are a little bit different than buyers. When you get on the phone with them, they have a need, and they're going to tell you what their need is immediately. If they need to sell fast, they're going to just start rambling on with you right away. So it's like there is no script for these sellers. You can come up with points to talk about during the conversation. You can kind of lead the direction of where the seller is coming from, but it's a total different motivation that they have. They need our help. There's a reason why they reached out to sell911.com, because they need to sell. You don't come to a website that has 911 on it and just say, oh, I was thinking about selling. Now we have other leads that are coming in from like Z Buyers, BuyerLink, other places like that, which are selling, where they're looking for CMAs and they're looking for cash offers. That's going to be a little bit of a different tone, but we're going to be working through what is a Z Buyer, what's a BuyerLink, what's a you know, what is a, you know, if somebody comes in on another website, what does that look like? Maybe they just need a CMA. Maybe they're not interested in selling. But these are all people that are raising their hand saying, it's probably a good chance in the next 6 to 9 months that I'm going to be selling. Those are people that we need to keep on. And then we have a CRM system that you guys have access to, Chime, that will be following up with these guys. So the initial contact and qualifying. So that'll be when we give you guys a lead, this is what we're looking at you guys to do. And within 5 minutes. If you can't take it within 5 minutes, don't take it, period. That's, and we are tracking it all. We are tracking everything. So we know, in fact, not only but the seller leads, I don't want to say our buy leads are not as important, because they are. But our sell leads cost us a heck of a lot more money to get than our buying leads. It's a ridiculous dollar amount for each selling lead. So when we get them, when you take it, it's 5 minutes. There's no exceptions. And Gino and I, or Missy, or even Richie might get on the phone, we may be following up in 10. And if you didn't call them, you're losing it. Like, you're losing it immediately and have an opportunity, maybe potentially losing it for the next week. And if that continues, you're going to be out. Like, we can't, these leads are that important. You know, I would respect your guys' money. If you gave me $250 today and you expected me to call a lead within 5 minutes, and if I didn't do it, you guys would be a little upset at me, you know? So, you know, it's like, that's basically the kind of money that we're spending. We're spending on average between $250 and $350 a lead. That everyone, it's a little bit more. Our buyers are about $15 to $18. Our sellers are about $250 to $350. Our face-to-face is about $1,000, and between $750 and $1,000 for each one by the time you actually get an appointment. That's why it's crucial that we get the 1 to 2. And I know that sounds crazy. Like, when we're working with buyers, it's probably what, John, 1 to 20, maybe, that a buyer comes in, maybe about 5% if we're lucky. That's if we get a hold of them within the first 5 minutes. That's if we keep reaching out to them if we don't get a hold of them. Sellers, they want the same response time, but there's going to be more of a chance for us to get a face-to-face with them. So that's one thing we want to do. So we want to basically do, you know, the greet, and you guys will have script on this. Number 3 is the discovery process. So as you guys could see, is we came up with a sheet and we're working on it right now. We're gonna have this a little bit more nailed down. Right now it's up to 5 sheets. It's gonna probably go to maybe half of this. I don't think that maybe we'll have something different, but we're still working on it. When you call a seller, you guys will have these in your car. You're gonna pull over, okay? This isn't something, when you're talking to a seller, this is a little bit different than a buyer lead, guys. Again, we have the money invested. It's very serious that we pull over, we know we're gonna need 10 minutes for this conversation, possibly 15, the first one. And it may be that you guys try calling back 2 minutes later or 3 minutes later. Like, you guys will probably want to call, if the person doesn't answer the first time, you're going to want to try another 5 minutes. You're going to want to try another 5 minutes. You're going to want to try another 5 minutes. I know that sounds crazy. Text, email, you know, it's basically, it's 911 that we get a hold of this seller, because we do not want them on the phone with like UGG or anybody else. You know, we want to make sure that we keep them attached. Some of the sellers that are going to be approached through the buyer process are just realtors, okay? Which means when they call, they have no intentions of buying the property. And these people raise their hand saying, hey, I want a cash offer. And if that other realtor can't give a cash offer, to me, that's borderline unethical. You know, they're calling somebody saying, hey, I'm gonna come out there, but basically you shouldn't really sell it for cash. You should list it. You know, kind of a switch and bait. You know, it is ethical. It's not a switch and bait, but it's not what we're choosing to do. Again, we're giving them, they have a problem, they want to sell their house for cash, and we have the ability to pay cash for that. That's how we're going to be different. Probably out of Z buyers, it's 5. I found out it's 5 people that these leads get sent to. 5. So that being said, is we have 5 competitions, but I could probably tell you that 3 out of those 5 are just realtors. And you know, it's not that I'm putting hate on just realtors or the terminology just realtors. They don't have a pot to piss in. They have no business calling and talking to somebody about a cash offer. And that's what we're doing, is we're offering cash offers. That's something different. And it's the guarantee that no one else has. I guarantee you none of those other 4 agents have the conversation. Listen, if we decide we come out there and we can't buy it, we can do 0% commission to you, meaning you're paying 0% commission, you know, and you automatically have that interest, because the whole reason why they're looking for a cash offer is because mostly they don't want to pay another realtor. That's their objection. So they're looking for every alternative to sell their house other than putting it on Zillow. They're looking for another alternative to put it on there. So that's who we're talking to. Now, a Cell 911, and again, we'll go over all these more specifically and what to do and what different scripts are, and we'll go over this, like what is it as Z buyer? What if it's a buyer, you know, link, if it's other sources that it's coming in from. But if it's a cell911.com, they came in through cell911.com, that's a whole different breed by itself. We're not necessarily fighting with a lot of people, okay? We've already kind of given them, they know that we're calling them. They know that Cell 911 is calling them. There's a sense of urgency. The shit hit the fan at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, because that's when our commercials are coming. And it's like, we got to sell, you know? And they need to sell. That's why they're coming, oh my God, I need to relocate. I need to relocate. They just got a job offer that day. They need to get the hell out of Dodge. So again, those will be different scripts and everything will be taught to you guys as far as all that concerned. But
how are you planning on handing those ones out?
the Cell 911? What do you mean, like?
As far as when you get the leads, how are you handing them? How is your plan to give them out to us?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess like everyone will have like an opportunity to go out to them, and
You were gonna do like Shark Tank kind of.
I think that one's going to be more like a text because like, you know how, like I said, Z buyer is like $150 to $250 a lead. Like Cell 911 lead is like $400, $500 to get one lead coming in. You know, that's why like on Google we need to spend like almost $10,000 to $15,000 a month. That would generate us probably about 25 leads. You know, that's how, because this market is so competitive right now. So you're right, John, it's going to be like you've been to some of those Cell 911s, you know what it means, you know, so it's going to be more for the seasoned agent to go out on these particular ones, but it is that everybody in this room will be trained to eventually be able to actually go to actual cell911.com lead. And ideally is to start filling the bucket for you guys so that when we get these leads, you guys are like super ninja like, and you're like able to close so many of them that we could just keep putting more and more money into the website. Because the more money we put into the website, the more the leads we get. It's like this. It's like you're feeding the beast, you know.
All numbers, right?
It's all numbers. Exactly. So, you know, it would take like, you know, probably the next 10 Cell 911 leads, I can guarantee you, it probably, you know, could go between, you know, Richie, Gino, John, stuff like that. And then you guys would actually mentor, or you guys would come along with them, like, hey, let's come along on this appointment. Like, you guys will actually get to go to these actual meetings. The Z buyers, the same thing. I know, like, Nick, I gave you one. You're like, what the hell are you giving me? You know, the other day. Rich, I think you got a couple other, and you got, Gino, you got a nice Wauwatosa lead that came in. It's an actual, it's not a purchase, but it's a listing, right?
A listing, and they're buying.
And they're buying.
They're pretty serious. I'm going to be following up today, and yeah, they're very serious. And I just want to say real quick that the biggest thing that they said when I got there, or even through the email and everything, was that how quickly the response, like Chris was saying. I mean, I can't stress that enough, from Realtor.com and to these, to the Cell 911, these or Z buyer ones. It's the people are just in this day and age, they want answers now.
Other than the
They want
cost,
response now.
are the Z buyer and the Cell 911 the same type of clients?
No. So they're,
So
well,
Cell 911 is like, I need to sell my shit
Right.
cash right now.
correct.
Sorry,
Where the Z buyer is like, I would like a cash offer, but I'm thinking of selling. Maybe I need a CMA. Maybe I need, you know, it was,
Yeah, I just went
Yeah.
there and I told him, you know, I didn't like try to do any bait and switch like, you know, he's talking about. I went there and I said, our program is selling ones to a division of Homewire. We offer multiple options. I came today to see, you know, what option best fits for you guys, basically, and they appreciate that. After almost even doing my homework ahead of time, and once I showed up in the house, I instantly knew it wasn't we're not gonna purchase this house. They've only lived in it a year.
It's too much.
It's not a distressed property. And I flat out told them, I said, look, if we give you a cash price, it's only gonna insult you. I said, these are the other routes we're gonna go. In that case, I was able to make a pretty instant recommendation on something, and they appreciated that. I wasn't even bothered with the insult. But the point is that I went, like Chris said, armed and dangerous, ready to have multiple options what I could do. So.
right.
Pick an option, any option.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
like we joked around that with,
It's the Happy
it
Meal.
was like picking a value meal.
Value meal, yeah. Would you like
Four,
supersize that?
Yes, yeah. So no, it's definitely, it worked out pretty good.
Yeah,
Exactly.
The speed, Gino and I went on one where there was another investor there at the property. You gotta be on them.
Oh,
I mean, we dropped everything we were doing, literally dropped.
Literally, even my mirror, and there's a crack in
Yeah,
it
I
to
know,
show
we
it.
dropped- we got the gas
Literally.
And drove there.
Yeah.
And if we didn't, we would have lost it. It closes Friday.
like we went so fast that, yeah, like I said, we literally apologized that we were dressed in our rehab, our clothes for the rehab project.
You're by 911.
Yeah.
You know, and they really appreciate
Yeah.
the urgency, I think, you know, we went with those options and, yeah.
Just for number
Very
six,
good
like
deal.
was their bottom line? Did you list it at that?
Well, when we, the New Berlin one, yeah, what it was, long story short, was the guy was really adamant on not taking less than 150, not taking less than 150.
So is that where you
there was
started
no
the-
Yeah, we started there. It ended up turning out a little different, but we were able to, you know, it didn't sell for that. But later, Rich built a trust with the guy. So then after the auction ended, he didn't get what he wanted. Rich still had a buyer from the exposure of the buy 901 and still put a deal together outside of the auction. But it was after building this guy's trust. This guy was he's a hard nose, and Rich did a good job of building that
So what'd you end up
relationship.
paying for it?
So it was
135 plus the 5%.
plus the 5%. So we still had the 5%.
141, 750.
So we still got them the 5%. The whole buyer's premium was just outside of that auction.
Okay, that's
So
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had, that one was a little upsetting because we thought we would have more people at the open house. It was just a fluke.
I
It was
know,
really
it was
weird.
weird.
Maybe it was weird timing or something. It was just weird.
Goofy.
Yeah.
But it's sold.
It's sold. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Closes Friday.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, so we have the prospecting, an initial contacting, qualifying, and we'll go over all these in more detail. And the discovery process are these sheets that we were talking about. So you have the property address, the email address, square footage, whether there's a living room, dining room, eat-in kitchen, bonus room. Guys, I'm looking for advice just because this is here and we go out to the field in the next couple days. We're gonna change these up. What I was trying to do is come up with a system for you guys other than a huge clipboard and sitting there for 2 hours and going over a property or going through some fancy software that you're going, okay, this room, this room, this room, this room. What I'm trying to do is get it down and dirty. How can we put you guys out there with the least amount of crap, so that you guys can focus on the property, you guys can look around. All this is going to be put into, and I think, John, you worked on this before, is easy inspections. I'm going to be able to put this form into easy inspection, so when you guys go out to the property, you guys are going to be able to go through an inspection piece of software, get your phone out or your tablet, go room to room, mark good, it'll be poor, fair, good. That's how simple we're keeping it. And then if you have comments to say, cracks in walls, why did you call this room fair? Well, there's some cracks in the walls. You're going to need to patch this. One might say, well, okay, this room's fair because right there's some texture and some some weird things. How are the windows? Fair. They're poor. Why are they poor? Well, because they need to be reglazed. They're cracked. They're broken. Why is the kitchen in poor condition? Well, the cabinets don't even open, or the cabinets are not even there or non-existent. Maybe a room has a leak. So these are going to be all options that you'll be able to do when you're out in the field. But what we did is for you guys, while you're talking to the client, to get as much information as possible. Now, here's the thing. If they got to go, and I want to keep these discovery processes when you're on the phone to like 10, 15 minutes tops. What we're trying to do is trying to get as much information as possible, not everything. So you're basically going to be talking, 90% of the conversation is going to be building rapport and building relationships. The last thing we're going to do is get into their financial situation or understanding why. Because mostly when you're at 90% and you've already discussed all these things, you built this rapport, you built this trust, you already went about, okay, let's talk about the house. not about your situation. Now they know, like, okay, you know, so then after we're done, you know, it'll walk you through. So let's talk about, you know, we have their name, we got all that information. You know, we have, you know, how many bedrooms does it have? How many baths? Again, we'll have all that information, but we may not when we're out actually in our car or whatever. So we want to get as much information from them, and then we want to come back and verify in our research, okay, does this really have 1,100 square feet? Well, no, it has 990 square feet. That happens all the time. It's not that the guy's like trying, or the woman's trying to tell us improper information, it's just they don't honestly know. So, so this is going to resemble what we do out in the field too. So this is going to go coincide. What this helps us do is, what is the seller's expectations, or you know, as far as what they think their property is. You know, they tell you that it has an awesome roof. It was just replaced 5 years ago, and then we go out there and there's chipmunks coming through, you know, the roof. There's big holes in it, and a tarp. We're like, you know, hey, I think you told me the roof was in good condition. Oh yeah, it was like 5 years ago, and you know, since then it's had this damage, or I haven't been to this property for a while. I've had people tell me the property's been absolutely mint. When they show up, they don't even want to go inside of it. Missy and I went to one that was such a hardship for her for whatever reason. This is the one we actually bought. The cat, you were there, 23rd and Capitol, that house. She didn't want to step foot in it. It's just, she had no idea. Everything was mint to her, but she hasn't stepped foot in the property for 15 years. When you went in there, it was like you're walking into this weird environment. It was just like gloomy. It was like dark. It was like, okay, she wanted us to, so we sent her pictures because she didn't even want to walk inside of it.
She waited on the porch.
Yeah, so we sent her pictures and she's like, so her aspects were, everything's awesome, no problems. But when we walked through it, that, you know, it was all, you know, it was different than what she thought, and then we had to tell her that. So these will have drop downs for you guys in an Excel spreadsheet, so they'll actually be in like, it'll actually show like good, fair condition. So that's like what the appointment, the pre-questionnaire. When you go out to the field, you'll have an agent field inspection, and this one right now will be on paper until we get it on an app. So these will have drop downs that'll be different colors so that you could go fair. It'll be basically poor, fair, and good. And then any issues or any concerns, you'll write there. You'll have the age of your roof, the age of the furnace when you're out there, which you might say, you know, they might say the roof's only 2 years old, and you're like, man, that thing's like 30 years old. You know what I mean? And then one thing that you probably want to do on a side note is there's even more area for you to fill in with issues with the roof. Oh, it has cedar shakes. You know, well, cedar shakes, what was that all about, right? Well, the difference between a cedar shake is when, you know, you see these shingles and they're not laying straight. So when you got to do a tear out, you got to tear this down, you have to go right down, basically right down to the roof, past the cedar shakes, and you usually need to replank it. So, there's things like that you guys are all going to be trained on what to look at here. So in all these that we're talking about, we're gonna be actually going out to the field. We're gonna be assigning you guys homework, and we're gonna be working on all these. So this is what we're doing today. Again, this is all like preliminary like stuff we're gonna be working with. And back here will be the financial information. You know, is the property financed currently? You know, when is the payoff? Again, we want to build the report before we start asking questions. Now, what happens is with this form, you're going to go back and forth between pages. It's just going to happen because the seller is going to go all over the place. There is no structure in the conversation with the seller. There just isn't. I would love to say there's a A, B, C, D. I would love to say there's everything's methodical, but it's not. They go A, D, you know, E, you know, F, Z, and then, you know, back to B. You know, like there is no things. But then you guys will be filling out this information, as much information as you can get, whether you guys are out there getting the information or you got some of that information prior to. But you'll want to know before you go out there, is you're going to want to do like, you know, you want to get a Zestimate on it. What is the client looking at? They're looking at Zestimates. They're looking at Realtor.com. They may not be accurate, right? But we want to know those numbers. You know, same with tax assessments, tax marketed, which is totally different. Again, you guys are going to learn all these things, but these are things that they're going to say, Zestimate says it's worth $200,000, and you look back and it's like halfway falling down. It's like, yeah, maybe in perfect condition, but the house down is right there next door sold for 120. You know, you're on the borderline of Whitefish Bay, so maybe it's pulling in comps from Whitefish Bay, or you could be, you know, in Whitefish Bay. You know, like John had a listing that he did a rehab on. It should have yielded $250 a square foot. It wound up yielding $225 because it was in a different side of Whitefish Bay. So it was up to John to be the expert of that particular block. Yeah, the Zestimate was way over here, but in essence, it was really worth this. And sometimes it goes the opposite. Sometimes you're in Wauwatosa and it's pulling comps from Washington Heights. So you need to look at that. So this is where we have to become the experts. And these will only build you guys up so that when you guys do your own listing presentations, I would expect you guys to completely do this. And everything you're learning here today is the grassroots of being a successful realtor. It's not only that, but not only a realtor, toss all that crap out, it's to be an expert. You guys are the experts, and you guys are gonna be trained better in here than any other agent is trained all throughout southeastern Wisconsin. It's all about you guys just absorbing as much information. And it's to be ready, you know, it's to have all these numbers. So when they start talking about Zestimates, it's like, oh, I know exactly which ones you mean. Or how about the house right next door that sold for $250,000? Oh, you mean the one with the brand new kitchen, the brand new bathroom, you know, all brand new wood flooring? Yeah, perfect basement, perfect roof, perfect siding. Yeah, that was an amazing house. Did you see that house? And all of a sudden they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about, you know, or she knows, this woman knows what she's talking about, you know. You know, what else would you say as far as, Missy, like being prepared? Like I have this estimate at the Realtor.com. We're going to start adding more and more stuff to this, so expect this to be always a moving target. Like we're going to always add more things and take some things back. It's like, this is a brand new concept. What I did is I took like 10 different steps and threw it into one like huge step for us, you know.
You cover everything. The biggest thing that catches me off guard is if I don't know the market area as much as the next guy. So make sure you do your homework. Yeah, you covered it. Do a CMA, even if you don't come with a CMA, or do a CMA before, just so you get familiar with it. Find, you can Google frickin' anything.
Right.
And if it's a neighborhood you're not familiar with, Google the neighborhood, find out where things are different, and
Missy even goes on a Google map and then like drives it. Like actually drives the neighborhood, you know.
school districts.
School districts, what are those rating? That's one that's not on here,
Or,
it really should be.
What is it? Greatschools.org. You can't, as a realtor, you can't say, oh, this is a great school district, but do your research before you go.
Crime rates, that
Crime
wouldn't be a
rates,
bad idea.
Schools, if it's a highly rated school versus 2 blocks away, it's a shitty school, that's gonna change the value too,
So, and that's something, that brings up a great point, yeah.
In Menominee Falls and Sussex, I mean, I know that area back of my hand, but that's where Menominee Falls, there's part of it is Sussex schools, and some is Menominee Falls schools, so you can literally go across the street, be in a different school district, and it affects it probably by 5-10%. I mean,
Right.
Menominee Falls is still doing great, but Sussex is where you wanna be.
Right,
Same
exactly.
with New Berlin. Edges of New Berlin, you're in West Dallas district. So make sure just something as simple as checking the tax assessment before you go. It says right on there what district it is. New Berlin versus West Dallas, huge difference. And you could be standing in a New Berlin house, find out it's in West Dallas, and you feel like a fucking idiot.
Right.
So
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
Do your homework.
I didn't hear that last part. What did you say?
Yeah. I don't do it anymore. I'm always ready now, but
No, I just don't feel like
crazy in the ass.
No.
I'm perfect.
Yeah, right?
It's on tape.
So,
Yeah.
Missy is perfect. There it is. So, that's a good point to that. Again, those are things that we probably need to add in here. School district, crime rates. Now, this is where we have to be so careful, guys. There's a difference between being an investor and being a real estate agent, okay? Being an investor is we're buying it, knowing this information, knowing the crime rates, knowing these things. They're not discussions after that. You know what I mean? We're just grabbing as much information. For instance, if we bought a house on South 11th, we did a rehab. The day before it closed was a shooting right down the street, like literally
The
a
day
block.
of.
The day of closing.
The
Like
day
at
of.
9 a.m. we got the
It
information.
was the police officer that got killed.
Yeah, the police officer
The
on the
police
block,
officer.
basically
Got killed on 10.
on 10th, and we were on 11th.
Literally, I
One
went
block.
there a day or two, like I had to go that area and they're literally taking.
So guess what
Immediately
happened with
called.
pre-inspect or inspection? They couldn't get to the house because the cops were there. So again, it's that's something we would have known, but does that change the market a little bit when we go to buy it like tomorrow if we would have bought the same property? Heck yeah. We have to do some adjustments. Now, it doesn't mean anything different for our buyers that we're working with or for our sellers when we're talking to them. Absolutely not, because when we're buying properties, when we're the investor, it matters to your client who's investing into the property, who's an investor, who happens to be us sitting right here. So we have investors that we need to, so from an investment standpoint, it does matter. From a real estate broker, agent, it does matter. It doesn't matter. You gotta keep fair housing. Our opinions mean, what's the neighborhood like? Have you looked at rentals lately? I always look at, what are rentals going for in an area? I compare like that kind of tells you the difference between a 3-bedroom house in Wauwatosa is $1,500. It's $1,500 to $2,000 a month. And on 11th, and North, it's $800. Do you think there might be a reason why that rent? So I always say, and you never want to zone anybody. You never want to tell them where they're going because we have to be careful on that situation. So that's why I want to be clear that when I'm talking from an investment standpoint, when I'm standing up here, I'm talking from an investment standpoint. This has nothing to do with real estate agency. We can't discuss those things. When somebody asks us about it, like, hey, why don't you knock on a couple of the doors? Oh, I want to knock on one of these doors. Okay, why wouldn't you knock on one of these doors? They're like, well, I'm scared to. But okay, if you can't knock on your neighbor's door and you're concerned about the neighborhood, maybe you should find a place where you would feel comfortable knocking on doors or sitting at 9 o'clock at night or 3 in the morning. If crime rates is a really big deal on you, would you be here at 2 a.m.?
As a realtor, one time, this is just a funny story. I was showing these two ladies duplexes, and they made the point that it seems like where you can't say crime rates, but it seems like where it's worse, there's more dollar stores.
Oh my God.
Corner liquor stores.
They're like, there's a lot of dollar stores. This area is probably not a good area for us to feel safe. I'm like, all right, we'll see dollar stores. That was our code for not a good area.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's a good point. There is, yeah. Why is that? Yeah. A lot of 7-Elevens. So that's one thing we want to be careful. But as an investor, it matters to us. So these sheets stay with us. They're not going to the client. If the client ever picked up and said, "What's this crime rate about?" That's just for our investors. They specifically ask for that, and we have permission as an investor to say, we're going to do research on it. So, and that's something as simple as Zillow or Trulia. They have what's called red zones, yellow zones, orange zones, green zones. So it's all color coded. They've done that themselves. That's a matter of opinion. But if we put it on here, this is what, this is maybe not necessarily the crime rates, but this is, whatever, So again, that's some of the financial information. Some of this you're going to have filled out completely before you go to the appointment. Some of it you're going to be filling out at the appointment, and definitely you're going to be filling out, after the appointment for sure. So there's going to be a lot of this to be filled out. After you guys go through the discovery process, you're going to set up the appointment. So when you're done with the discovery process, you're like, okay, so when is a good time? I'm sorry, you're not even supposed to say that anymore. You're supposed to say, okay, let's say it's Tuesday right now, right? We're having this conversation. Okay, so does Wednesday at 2 o'clock or at 2:05 work for you? So you give them like two choices. So you never want to give them, even if you only have 2 o'clock available that afternoon, you're like, so does Wednesday at 2 o'clock or 2:05 work for you? It's kind of like you're giving them two choices still. They're just within 5 minutes of each other. Or if you have a couple of slots, hey, do you have Wednesday tomorrow at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock available? Well, those three don't work. Okay, how about Thursday at 10 a.m.? Well, I work that day. Okay, how Thursday at 6 p.m.? You want to set up an appointment, okay? And we'll go through, the process of how to set up the appointments and et cetera, et cetera. It sounds simple, but a lot of times, a lot of realtors go, when they have a lead on the phone, this is our point to make that face-to-face appointment. You get more face-to-face appointments by setting it right then and there. Not, I'll call you back, I'm gonna do this research and I'll call you right back. That doesn't do good. We'll do research, yes, but we'll, listen, well, do you know how much you would give me for my property right now? I just need, it's a lot more than that. You kind of, you said you wouldn't buy a house just by somebody having a conversation with you over the phone, would you? No, it's kind of the same thing here. We have our checkpoints that we need to go through. Then you have your preparation that you do right before it. You have, you guys are going to do a CMA. You're going to do an ARV, a CMA after repaired value, CMA as is property. So you guys are going to do 2 CMAs beforehand. You're going to look up all the tax information. You're going to put it on here. You're going to look them up on Facebook, social media, just so they have a resemblance. Like, hey, find out more about this person. These people are people. We want to build a rapport again. It's all about relationships. Look at the Google Maps. Like I talked about with Missy driving around the neighborhood, like on Google Maps, looking at stuff, see how things are. Is this right next to Washington Heights? Is this near Wauwatosa? Is this near Whitefish Bay? Is it near Shorewood? Is it on the brinks of Shorewood? Are we, where are we at? Brewers Hill, whatever. What does that look like? What do the houses look like on the neighborhood? Is this the ugliest house in the neighborhood? Jackpot. If this is the prettiest house in the neighborhood, there's probably either it's going to turn into a listing. We'll kind of know these by like, hey, I was driving around. What do you mean you were driving around? On Google, and I saw, that this is the ugliest house on the block. Awesome, So then you'll go obviously on the appointment, and again we're going to go over all this. You guys will have the right mindset, what that looks like. Whatever issues you just had like 5 minutes ago, or something, a deal's blowing up, you got to just take a quick breath, go in, because again, we are helping them out. This is all about them. You're going on stage, you're talking about them. How can we help you out? That before on the appointment, you're going to want to call them 20 minutes beforehand, like, hey, I'm there, I'm coming there. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Their appointment's at 10 o'clock. It's 9:40. I'll be there right at 10. Then when you're there, you're going to fill out the property inspection report. You're going to take pictures, and we're going to show you guys what to do on that. Right now we'll probably just put it in a portal so that you guys can upload all those pictures into one area until we get the app. So we'll work on that. You guys are going to look at basically the exterior, how's the exterior look, roof, everything, roof, 6 minimum pictures outside, one of each corner, the house, the garage, the roof, the gutters, the lot, how's the lot look, front yard, back yard. Usually it says 6 minimum, will probably be closer to 10. One of the address, one of each street view. There's a whole checkpoint that we'll give you is like how many pictures you guys will need. It'll give us as much information to bring in for intel for us to like make a decision on what we're going to offer. Look at that. You're going to take pictures of the interior, the mechanics, foundation. Again, we're going to have a checklist for all this for you guys. And hopefully when the app is here, it'll just walk you through it so you guys will know. Then you're going to thank the seller. You're going to set up the next appointment then. So when you're out there, that's where I fail a lot of times is right away say, I'll get back to you. No, let's set up the next appointment so that they know the algorithm is like, this is how things are. This guy's serious. Okay, I'll be here. Today's Tuesday. Thursday, 2 o'clock work good for you? Yeah, okay.
Trying to keep that 2 days there. So
You are.
guys have time.
So we have time and we can discuss it back and forth. Then we're going to give them the offer. Like we're going to come up with your options. It's never an offer. We're going to come up with a few options for you, in the next 48 hours. Is that okay with you? Well, I'm going out of town tonight at 5 p.m. Well, okay, is there a good time to actually, set up a video call with you that we can go over that? I don't mind doing video calls, but that one where you have to be there that morning and set that appointment for a buy appointment. If we know it's a listing, then that's a no-brainer. Like we could take all this process, shred it up, and go right in for a listing appointment. If we'll know that right away when we're going up there and be like, yeah, we will get back to you by 5 p.m. today. But if it's an actual buy purchase, that puts a lot of strenuous on us. Like unless if they really need an answer, we'll speed it up. But if there's a way we can have those 48 hours, it makes a big difference. The place we were in Boston, they don't do it for 3 to 4 days. That's when they make the offer. They don't set up the appointment for 3 to 4 days. So they have this 4-day grass. So I'd rather, within 4 days, I'd rather have from start to going out to inspection to making the offer, making the presentation, and either if it's like a Monday, by Friday, either A, it's listed on Buy 91, or we're deciding to get a stager in there for them, or we're buying, So it's gonna be those 3 options. Like we literally have some kind of signature that Friday of some sort. So when you thank the seller, you set up the next appointment, you do, basically 8, it comes back, we do our underwriting, we do our findings, we give you guys a CMA to actually bring out there for the next appointment. We're gonna show you guys how to present that packet. We're gonna give you all the tools we need. We're gonna make this as simple as 1, 2, 3, meaning I used to give these documents, like there used to be 3 or 4 pages. John could tell you, Gino could tell you, Rich could tell you. I had 3 or 4 pages that were confusing as all get up. Nobody understood them. So basically, I'm going to do 3 options right on one sheet. Option 1 is cash offer. This is what the cash offer is. Option 2 is our Buy 91 offer. Like what, basically, if you list it, this is what your net proceeds are, and it'll be a real quick 3 lines. It'll be, okay, listing price, closing fees, net price, or it'll have like maybe a repair that buyer wants estimated, $2,500 or whatever, and then it'll have a number here. So basically, if you cash buy it, it's going to be $55,000 if we buy it. If you sell it on the open market, you'll probably get about $10,000 more. You'll probably, these are estimates, probably net $65,000. But then on the bottom will be some kind of like either seller financing option or hybrid, or we may not even have a third option, but we're gonna try to give them 3 options every time. So that way they have a choice. And these 3 options wipe out all the competition. They're not now looking at 3 different agents. They're saying, okay, I have 3 options. And ours is the only 3 options. We're not trying to give them another option. That's the beautiful thing on this. Gino, why don't you tell them about Beaver Dam and that seller real quick?
Yeah, that was what happened with that one was we went there, it was generated off of one of our commercials, and, we initially, offered, like Chris was saying, a few options, and he chose, and this is what we laugh about with, like, he was choosing a value, you know, like food, he's like, I'll take the option, and he wanted the option that we just buy it cash. So we proceeded that route, but then what came up in the, title was a $15,000 additional lien on the property. So, his name's Ken. Ken thought that we were just gonna back out, because he kind of figured, well, that's gonna throw it all off. So we went back to the drawing board and we did some, kind of creative, financing. We were able to put it together. We were able to give him a little, not as much, I mean, as he initially thought he would have netted, but we were able to give him a little something where he thought he was getting nothing. So we gave him a little up front. We caught, up his arrears. So we did, and you know, did this as a land contract, and that was part of it, and then we took over payments of the current, mortgage that we had, and, well, you know, like I said, brought that up to speed, so it helped his credit, got that back, he was able to walk away, he literally, we handed him the check for the upfront, he handed me the keys, and we got started, and, and at that point, we just wanted to get in there, and then at that point, we decided how the exit strategy of it, whether it was we considered renting it out, a land contract. Ultimately, we ended up selling it, Rich had the, buyers, and we were able to sell it before it even.
Off market, yeah.
Off market, before it even got in the market. So it was really, like I said, we keep saying, it's amazing that all those tools, everyone win. I mean, to this day, I saw him recently, not too long ago, and he still thinks, you know, the world of us. We made out, he made out, he thinks, like I said, the world of us, because he had a little money in his pocket, all his debt was gone, and his headache, he didn't even have to clean the place up.
Right.
And it's the key, we took care of everything, and the buyers are happy, they got, we were able to do painting, the flooring, we did some basement work, you know, we got it to, like, it was, you know, nice.
It's a nice place.
Pretty nice looking place now.
Right.
Everyone, it was a win-win all around for everybody involved, so.
You still have your wife, 2 ruby red
Yeah.
washing machines for Christmas.
Yes, that was a nice little bonus too. I'm not gonna lie about that.
You know.
Win-win.
So, just going back to that procedure is when Gino was talking to the seller, he was looking at the 3 options we gave him, and that was the only discussion he had. Same with most of our sellers. When we bought Lake Drive, the first Lake Drive property that I said we were losing our butt on, there were 3 options. There was no 4th option, meaning there was no other realtor in the mix. We gave them 3 options and we're satisfied with those 3 options because it was business. It was laid out like a business. If we do this, we could do this. If we do this, we could do this. If you do this, we could do this. So it's like everybody understood, like if we're gonna give you a cash offer, it's gonna be less. And they already knew this. They weren't counting on it to be a full retail price. Or if they wanted to do seller financing, a hybrid where they take it over and when we're done flipping it, we give them back we give them back that original money, and they're like, well, why would you give us more like that? Well, money costs money, and then we explain it, This is why we did a hybrid listing. Or 3 was, I even forget what it was, but we were sitting in California at the Tom Ferry convention, and she's on speakerphone, and she was, the only 3 options were those 3 options, and she was, it's very intelligent lady. Not saying that any of our clients aren't, I'm just saying very methodical, very military-like, because she was with the Navy. So her reasoning was important. She was going through it like very OCD-like this is like military, talking to a military woman. Like she was just like boom, 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 like give it to us. She's like, okay, this is what I'm choosing, so we had those conversations with them. So that's what's nice about our 3 offer process, our 3 solutions, as we would call it. So the second appointment, you guys will go out there, you'll call the day of to confirm. Again, the reason why these steps are in there, the 20 minutes, the greeting, the calling to confirm. This is including like a 7-step relationship building report. So it's all in here. So every step it's important that we take all these steps, because this is like the golden nugget. Like, no matter what you guys do in business, these 12 steps, if you do them, you're going to get that listing. You're gonna get that buyer, you know? And then you have the proposal and handling objections, which we'll go over, which is those 3 solutions. The follow-up, in case you don't get a signature that day. I mean, we're still gonna follow up, right? And then get the signature. You know, I would say screw number 11 and just go forget the signature. You know, like, already have the contracts out there. Like, this is what we're willing to do. And if you guys have to go back into, you know, I would even say, so if you have a good feeling about it, just have your contracts ready to go. Like, boom, we're gonna do this. You know, like, okay, we're offering you a cash offer. Boom, this is what we're doing. Okay, we're gonna get a listing. Boom, like, literally within an hour after you made that decision, there should be some signature. Like, you're literally going to McDonald's. If they do e-docs, you're going to McDonald's and getting it signed. If you're there, just fill it out. Richie had a signature that day, like, literally right after you left, right before you left, you had a signature.
Yep.
Just about. Yeah.
No, at the one we went.
Yeah.
No, we went to the car, got a laptop, and got a
Yes.
signature.
Yep.
And I had to. They were older.
Still paint on our clothes.
Yeah,
and
they were
sign
older,
listing.
so I had to actually sit down with them and teach them how to do e-signing. And I like wrote the password for what's your password gonna be? Wrote it down for them on a post-it note so they wouldn't lose it, and we got the signature. That's so critical. Get the signature, because there was no stopping that other investor who was there from calling back and offering more, which happened the next day. The other investor, because we showed up, called back and offered more because we were there. So you gotta get the signature as soon as possible.
So, yeah, that's the steps, and we'll go through that in the next 4 or 5 weeks, each and every step, and how we want to do it. In fact, we're gonna get to the point where sooner than later, you guys are gonna get assignments. That, first of all, we're gonna all go out to the field and look at a property. This is what we're looking at, comparing notes. Like, what do we see? We're gonna just pick one randomly. It'll, you know, and I'm not even gonna say the condition. We might go see 2 or 3 different properties. Okay, this is poor. This is fair, this is good. And hopefully when we're at a good property, you guys know what a good property is. When we're at a fair property, you guys know what a fair property is. And then, you know, when we're at a horrible property, poor, and then just a tear down, there's what's called a tear down that's even past poor, you know? So it's like,
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
We might have to do that.
yeah, we'll have to go through it.
Yeah, actually, that is a good idea.
Is it really? Yeah. Well, I mean, those could be in fair condition, right? Maybe
Still needs everything.
it needs everything, but according to what we've seen before,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Sometimes, right? I mean,
No, I'm finishing right now a very poor one, that's where the floor is buckled because of water, there's mold all over the ceiling, so that would be poor, I guess, compared to.
You guess?
yeah, geez, right? So, yeah, so maybe we'll go through that one, you know? Like, so we're just gonna get you guys basically ready to go like warriors, and it's gonna happen quick, because I wanna get you guys in as many appointments as possible. When you guys get a chance, this is the buy 911. We'll go over more of this, but this is our commission structure. This is what we figured out. Like, for transaction fees, we have the minimum in there at $4.95. If you wanna do, we're gonna put in the pamphlets that we're gonna do $9.95. So that the minimum transaction fee for the seller will be $9.95, and if you guys want to make that $4.95, you guys would cross it out at your listing presentation. Say, listen, we're just going to do this for $4.95 or $5.95 or whatever you guys will have. You guys are realtors. You guys can control your own commissions. This is your own business, right?
And what happens with that fee? Is that a fee go to Homewire? Where does that fee go?
On the
So,
agent,
so the company generated, when it's if you guys negotiate to $9.95, right? Then we're gonna split half of that with the house. The difference between the $500 and the $995. That's not on here, but that's just if you guys negotiate a seller lead and it's a Sell 911 company lead, and you guys get the $995, we're gonna split that 50-50 from there. But anything that's under or $4.95 and below, $4.95. The company keeps that transaction fee if it's a company generated. If it's your lead, obviously you can keep all of it, because you're going to get a transaction fee on that.
the 195.
Yeah, exactly.
So
So
that should cover basically your
Yeah.
pressures, your
Yeah,
transmission, any
exactly,
surplus,
yeah.
yes, goes back to the.
yeah, so and then we have the minimums, how that breaks down, and it kind of should tell you like whose responsibility is the marketing, who's what the listing gets, what the sell 911 gets, what buy 911 is the auction site, what they get. I brought down some of the minimums down here so that it made more sense for you guys to make more money, especially like if you guys charge, if it's your agent, your $3,000, you guys are going to get a check for $1,850 minus whatever we worked out on that. But that's kind of how that goes. So
The only thing that can't be negotiated is the RIA ones.
right, the RIA ones
The
is
RIA
like,
is-
so if you guys go to RIA, they're all company leads. This is how it breaks down, because we're at 195 with the RIA discount that we give everybody from a RIA. So if it's a RIA lead, if they're a member of the RIA, they're automatically part of the company. Period. That's just how it's going, because we're investing a lot of money in it. It's kind of like we're branding, and even if you get an acquaintance and they're part of the RIA and be like, oh yeah, I guarantee you, if they've been coming to the RIA, they know about us. I mean, auction.com even knows about us coming to the RIA. You know what I mean? They came to our booth, so like word's getting around. Buy 911, just real quick, we are restructuring that. We are in the process of working with a developer of having our own auction site. So we're not even going to have a relationship with Home Bids, because Home Bids is very limited to what they can do, and we're planning on taking this national. Now, when I say that, we're protected here. Anywhere we set up a Homewire, we're going to be protected, meaning we're going to be, as of right now, if everything goes as we want it to, we will be protected, as far as meaning it will be our technology in all southeastern Wisconsin, so that's our protection. So anything outskirts, we might be working with somebody out of Illinois, we might be working on something in Boston, we'll be working out relationships. But I like to keep it territory driven so that we have a tool that no one else has, or if they have other tools, it won't be as cool as ours. So, cool. Any questions? I know I did a lot of talking, sorry, I'm super excited about this. So, what do you guys think? Good content?
Yeah, I'm excited to go out in the field and kind of just get hands-on and kind of check it out and just kind of fill out the information and just kind of, for sure.
You bet. Nick, you were quiet. Just absorbing it all.
Wheels are turning.
I'll get a message at 11 p.m. tonight. Yeah, at 11 o'clock. So we were talking about this, yeah. May, anything?
Things good.
Okay, good, yeah.
We watched the video, but I have any questions.
Cool, you bet. And you guys are all, because you guys are all part of the team, and you guys are always have Missy, myself, Gino, stuff like that. Richie when he gets on Mojo. So we have a lot of cell leads that we're going to going back to the day of when I first had leads coming in through the system. Brent's organizing those. Those are going to be people that we're going to be reaching back out to, if they haven't sold their house and they came in on our website, or they came somewhere 2 years ago and they haven't sold it yet. What's the reason? Well, I wasn't going to sell it at that time, but I'm going to sell now. Or, you know what? I went through this divorce and I'm able to keep the house. Or, oh my God, I went through this divorce and I'm not able to keep this house. Or, I thought I could keep it. Or, I still don't know what I'm going to do with it. Well, now's the time to sell. It's the best market it's ever been. Interest rates are still low. Let's get the thing on the market, or let's buy it. Buy it, Let's get that off your hands. So these are going to be, we have over, what we say, Brent, over about 600 to 700 cell leads that we have to go through?
We have about 400.
400, but that's
just on the spreadsheet, so there'll be more coming in.
right, so is that 400 right now between all the spreadsheets?
No, that would be, there's 550 between both.
Okay, so 550 leads, cell leads that at one time raised their hands, whether they were on Sell 911 or another website that said they want to sell.
Yeah.
So we'll probably get that down to maybe half. So those are, if you think about it, at $200, let's say minimally $200 a lead, times 500. What is that? How much is that?
10 grand.
10 grand in leads right there, minimally, right there. That's minimally, you know. So, what's that?
I said it by $100.
Right?
Wheeling and dealing.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Here's my bid.
All right. Cool. Thanks, guys, for showing up. I'll be here for a little bit afterwards, and
All right, thank you.
thanks. Cool. Thank you.